Clerk will call the roll.
Glenn Whitley, County Judge.
Here.
Roy Charles Brooks, Commissioner Precinct 1. Andy H. Wynn, Commissioner Precinct 2.
Here.
Gary Fickus, Commissioner Precinct 3.
Here.
J.D. Johnson, Commissioner Precinct 4.
Here.
Constitutes a quorum.
Thank you. Our invocation today will be delivered by Tyler Bauer from the Fort Worth First Seventh-day Adventist Church. Thank you for being here today. After the invocation, please remain standing for our pledges.
Shall we bow our heads? Father in heaven, we are here this morning to do work for you and your people here in this county. I want to pray for your blessings upon this meeting and upon each individual that's here. May your wisdom preside, and may the decisions and policies enacted here be a benefit to the people in this county. We pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Tyler, for coming out today. We appreciate it. Mr. Manius, agenda announcements.
Thank you, Your Honor. Members of the court, we just have one announcement, and that concerns moving an item. When we get to the administrator section, we're going to go immediately to the briefing section, which is item 11. We're going to take up item 11A, which is a stock show update at that time. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Court members, you have before you the minutes of our regular meeting of January the 15th.
Move approval. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Under the proclamations, Commissioner Brooks has a proclamation on for Dr. Martin Luther King Day, and I know that has already been presented, so I will move its approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Court members, you have before you the consent agenda.
Move approval of the consent agenda. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Is this where we're bringing the briefing items?
Yes.
Okay.
Members of the court, if you could now go to the briefing section, item A, which is a stock show update. Mr. Bass is here to address the court at this time.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Judge Whitley, Commissioners, Mr. Manius. It's a privilege to appear before you today on behalf of the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo and Event Facilities Fort Worth, the supporting organization of the stock show that concentrates on our facilities. Tarrant County has deep agricultural roots, and many areas of our county are still rural. We have citizens and we have many students engaged in many aspects of agriculture. It really is very important to our identity and to our way of life here in Tarrant County. Tarrant County has another feature we're very proud of, and that is the county, its municipalities, and its citizens have a strong history and tradition of engaging in public-private partnerships. You only have to look around the county to see the remarkable facilities and transportation network that we have that have been accomplished in these type of public-private partnerships and county-municipality partnerships. Will Rogers Memorial Center in Fort Worth is a place where these two traditions, public-private partnership and agricultural roots, come together. Now, 18 months ago, the county agreed to enter with Fort Worth into a project, public-private partnership involving the stock show and event facilities Fort Worth to make improvements to that Will Rogers Center that would serve us well going forward. This is a very complex three-way public-private and complex involving infrastructure and storm drainage upgrades, mobility upgrades, thoroughfare enhancements, parking, and some very serious environmental remediation. I'm very happy today to report to you completion of every aspect of that project, and I would like to show you in a PowerPoint presentation some of those results. I'm going to start with the previous conditions. This is our Will Rogers Memorial Center. Now, first I have to say, not like most maps, north is up, but this is where the west begins, and we put west on the top. You can see on the right-hand side the domed roof of the Will Rogers Coliseum, and then to the left of it, all the various equestrian center and cattle barns. At the top of the photo is Montgomery Street, about two-thirds of the way down University Boulevard, which is going between the Botanic Garden. All that green is Botanic Garden, and very far left is I-30 on the right, is our museum district. The area that we're talking about is just to the left of the developed Will Rogers Memorial Center. There's a large city parking lot that the county played an important role on about 10 years ago in installing that, but there's a vast wasteland of former industrial land, part of it a former foundry that contained contaminations in the soil. The project that we launched forward was to convert all of this into first-class parking areas, relieving for the very first time the chronic parking shortages at the Will Rogers Center. This focuses in a little, so the back of the cattle barns is on the right, and the limit of the old industrial land is on the left. And this is what was proposed, and here, taken about a month ago, is a view of the project nearing completion, that vast undeveloped area. And I would like to walk you through step by step 7 major aspects of this very briefly. I'm going to start with number 1. If you see that red line, that is a new 100-year storm drainage coming out of Fort Worth's Arlington Heights neighborhood. Never before had there been adequate storm drainage, and this upgrades it very considerably. I can't show you the completed storm drainage. It's all underground, but this is going in. These are 2 box culverts, 7 feet high and 11 feet wide. You can drive your pickup truck through either one of them. And this aspect of the project was the primary responsibility of the city of Fort Worth. Number 2 is a new 4-lane, beautiful divided road alignment to give access to this area. It goes from University Drive at the bottom of the photo to Montgomery Street at the top of the photo, a very major way. Here's a portion of that road. It's divided, fully landscaped, pedestrian crossings. It's beautiful lighting. It's just a wonderful road. This was the primary responsibility of Tarrant County, and it has turned out just beautifully. We thank the county for its transportation partnerships with Fort Worth and other municipalities. They're serving us very well. Number 3 was the primary responsibility of Event Facilities Fort Worth. Parking, over 2,000 parking places, all fully landscaped and lit. On the left side, over 200 trailer parking places and RV hookups. And this gives you a view of the parking looking back at the Will Rogers Center. And it also demonstrates that this is a very nicely done parking area with many pedestrian amenities incorporated. Number 4 is a way to illustrate the environmental remediation that was accomplished. That number 4 in the photo is from within the Botanic Gardens looking back up at the parking area. This is the former state. There was a retaining wall built out of 55-gallon drums filled with foundry slag, which sets up kind of like concrete, stacked up in that way, and behind them a 20-foot deep of old foundry casting sand that had been discarded. So this was in a service area the public never saw, but this is inside the Fort Worth Botanic Garden. Looking to the west, there is that same wall today. It's been completely encapsulated, and it's safe from now on. And this particular area of the Botanic Garden will now be developed in the future as a new children's garden, something never possible before. Number 5 in the photo, the realignment of the installation of the new street provided through county transportation funds, which, by the way, has been named Trail Drive, appropriate to the heritage of the center. The realignment of Trail Drive and then of Harley Street allowed it, where number 5 is, the addition of over 3 acres within the fence, within the gates of the Will Rogers Memorial Complex. And you'll see this area here, which will facilitate not only the stock show, which will utilize it as a very convenient loading and unloading for all the livestock. We'll also use it for all of these, on the right, these portable panels form what are called tie-outs for the livestock. All those show cattle spend a certain number of hours every day out in fresh air. We've never had as many tie-outs as we had indoor cattle stalls for the first time in stock show history. There's over 1,000 new tie-outs provided in this area. But it'll also serve the 11 months of the year that the center is heavily utilized for equestrian shows all through the year. The next feature is, I'll show you 2 features that are new gates. At number 6 is a new vehicular entry gate where all the livestock trailers and so forth will come through, are coming through as we speak, and a full-service ticket office included there. So for the first time, full-service ticketing at a location other than in front of the complex. Number 7 is a purely pedestrian gate that ties in conveniently with the new parking, and again, a full-service ticketing area. So we are very proud to have entered this partnership with the county, and I want today, on behalf of Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo and Event Facilities Fort Worth, to thank you for your participation and to invite you at any time you wish. Come out. I would love to personally tour each of you individually or any group. I think JD's going to be out there later in the week. I think we can be very proud of what the county has helped its citizens and its city of Fort Worth accomplish.
We appreciate you coming today and making this presentation. We appreciate everything you've done, not only for the stock show and the support you give that, but also for really the entire city of Fort Worth as well as Tarrant County.
Mr. Bass is also a strong supporter of the Tarrant County Junior Livestock Show that we have each year.
Which you're in the process of collecting checks
He
for
par-
now,
he
even as
participates.
we speak.
He participates.
I understand that.
heavily in that.
And I'm sure you've already collected from, or you're in the process of collecting from us.
From all your commissioners.
I haven't received a whole lot of money yet. A little bit.
Well, I'll get you a check today. I don't want to be.
A little bit, you know.
I can tell you that's many, many, many families throughout our county. That show is of great importance, and actually we're wonderful hosts to some Johnson County communities that participate in that show. And that show wouldn't happen, it wouldn't be what it is today if it weren't for Commissioner Johnson, who puts a great deal of effort into it and is really our leader there.
Well, we very much appreciate both y'all's work because, you know, the key that Commissioner Johnson has made me aware of since he started that, or since he really started supporting it, and I became aware of his support of it, was that everybody gets whatever they bring, it gets bought. Nobody goes home without being successful that day, and that's so important. And we just appreciate
Come out,
it.
Judge. They sell really good cookies and pies in the bacon.
$5 pies too.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you being out here.
Thank you, Ed.
Members of the court, we can go to the administrator section now. We have two additional items to bring to the court this morning. Item one, we're requesting that the court approve an interlocal agreement with Dallas County on behalf of the Southwestern Institute of Forensic Sciences and our county medical examiner's office for forensic laboratory services.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Finally, members of the court, on item number two, we're requesting that the court approve an exception to the county's travel policy for in-region travel as it relates to Texas AgriLife Extension Services.
Move for approval. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Ms. Glenn. Ms. Worthy. I saw Tina sneak in. Is she just going to sit over?
He gets second chair today. Our first item is to request that you receive and file the personnel agenda.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Our next item is an approval of an out-of-class pay extension for the county clerk's office. This is for the assistant accounting manager that is acting as the accounting trust manager. This, as I said, is an extension. They request it through April 28th at a cost of $1,703.55.
Move for approval. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Our next item is an approval of a waiver of terminal benefits for the tax office. This is a waiver for their administrative assistant position. This individual retired in December with 320 hours. Obviously, we've had some time since the end of December, so there's 192 hours left. But with the selection of an internal applicant, there's actually a cost savings of $781.20 overall to this request.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
And our final item on the action agenda is the approval of addendums to the agreement with Rockport Community Network, Inc. for Workers' Comp 504 Medical Program Group. We have before you 3 more contracts with physicians for our 504 Workers' Comp program.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Mr. Beecham?
Good morning.
Good morning.
We have 2 items for your consideration this morning. Our first item is a bid award recommendation for bid 2013-016. This is our annual contract for the printing of election ballots. Our recommendation would be to award the second low bidder, Hart Intercivic Graphics out of Austin, Texas, on a per unit price basis. There were 3 concerns that Elections Administration had, and Steve Rayburn is here to answer questions that I might not be able to answer for you. Those concerns, the prospective low bidder was a company called IBS out of Fresno, California. The concerns were that they would not be able to deliver a nonstop secured load of ballots from Fresno to Tarrant County. They don't own their own trucks. They would have to rely on commercial transportation, i.e. FedEx or UPS. The second concern would be the actual distance from the printing facility in Fresno, California. That's 22 hours and some 13-odd minutes if you Google that, to Tarrant County. And the third concern was a lack of their ability and any indication that they would actually keep the paper on site to print the ballots. Tarrant County has 500 voting machines that use these paper ballots. I'm told they're for county elections. The paper is not a single source. It's available from Hart Intercivic Graphics or their distributorships. So with that in mind, the difference between the prospective low bid and the second low bid would be an increased cost of $22,230 more.
Jack, does the company in Austin have the ability to bring us the product if are we responsible to go get it if we need it in
They would
a
bring
very
it,
timely fashion?
they would bring it to us. We did meet with IVS from Fresno. I think that down the road, there might be a potential good vendor. But I was concerned personally about the inventory level of paper. I never got a direct answer as to how much inventory they keep on hand. We were told by Hart and or their distributorships it's an 8 to 10 day delivery time to get that paper. They don't have, IVS does not have, in my mind, a good backup supply of paper at this point. Down the road, possibly. Both Elections Administration and our office met with this company. They understand our concerns and are fine with the process.
Steve, why don't you come up and talk a little bit about, I mean, the type of paper, is that, from kind of what Jack said, it's Hart Civics or their distributors. Do they own the distributors too?
Well, we have been using a proprietary paper from Hart InterCivic to print our ballots on. There's very tight specifications on the equipment, and so we've been using their proprietary paper that's a low dust, high quality paper with a watermark in there so that we know that it's an official ballot. And so we specified that they had to use that particular paper in printing the ballots.
And does that paper only exist through Hart?
I believe that's true.
So, okay, I guess where I'm trying to go is that our concern is on having a watermark or something along that top lines, not that it be a paper that, or it should seem like it would be in order to be competitive. Although we're not talking about a whole lot of difference here.
We're not talking about a lot of difference in the price, and in fact, it could be that we would spend more money with the low bidder simply because of the distance issue. They're so far away. We would probably increase our order so as to make sure that we don't need to go back and reorder, because we do that in some elections. We order ballots, and then we see that we think we're going to have a higher turnout, so we go back and supplement the order, and that would be really difficult with a printer that's in California.
So looking at when we've placed reorders and done that in the past, your perception would be that could be a problem.
Yes,
so
sir.
We're ordering it on a day basis and need it the next day.
We don't need it the next day, but there is a very short window from the time that we're able to place the order from when we need to receive it. There's really no room for error. If there were to be some bad printing job or something like that, to redo that, and the transportation time from California is something that really gives us concern.
What did we specify in the RFP as relating to the scoring system? Was it a low bid, or did we have a scoring system?
It was just a straight bid, so lowest price possible.
So
now, our concerns again were
lowest and best.
Lowest and best, exactly. Our concerns again were, I think they're valid concerns. I really believe that this company, the IVS folks, can possibly be a vendor down the road. But I never got a direct answer, and I asked the question specifically. I wanted to know myself, what is your inventory level? If there's a glitch in the process, since you're a potential new vendor, what is your inventory level? I never got that answer.
I see.
I think even the transportation issues can be overcome, but I think if they're not willing to keep an adequate inventory level in case there's a problem.
Are we paying freight on this on top of this price?
No.
We're not.
No.
So they have to get it to our door.
Yes, sir. We found out that they do and can supposedly set up secured loads with FedEx or UPS. I'm told that can be done, but that means they got to have two drivers because, again, it's a 22-hour and some odd minute drive from Fresno, California to Steve's front door.
What's more important is how long is it a drive from there to the airport? Because they ain't going to be driving it.
They said they would, but I just, I felt this time, for the difference in cost, it would, I'd rather recommend the increase of $22,230 than come back and say, Houston, we have a real problem.
Well, I agree with your recommendation, therefore, I would like to move for approval.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Our second and last item is another bid award recommendation for bid 2013-031. This is our annual contract for mattress materials. Recommendation be to award on a per enterprise basis, selecting the two primary vendors of Fred Clark Felt Company and Aberdeen Road Company as shown in the court.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Mr. Riley. Good morning.
I'm here requesting that the Commissioners Court approve the renewal of 4 interlocal agreements with the cities of Hearst and Fort Worth related to the 2006 Tarrant County Bond Program. The project in Hearst is Pipeline Road. The ones in the city of Fort Worth is Golden Triangle Boulevard, Harley Avenue, and then Summer Creek McPherson Boulevard. I want to also mention that the Harley project is being partially funded by the bond program interest earnings, and I think that was brought to y'all's attention back in September.
Bill, I move for approval.
Second.
I do have a comment.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Discussion?
There's a lot of disappointed people out there on what's going on Golden Triangle Boulevard and the delays and the promises that have been made that continue to fall and don't get met. And we've been getting promises since about October that it's going to be the next month, and it's going to be January, it's going to be February, it's going to be March. Now it's the end of March. I've heard it's going to be sometime this spring, which could be the end of May. Could you, you probably are already engaged, but just get as much engaged as you want and will to let's see if we can get that project wrapped up. I don't know whether we got a contractor problem. I don't think it's a TxDOT problem, but maybe it's a Fort Worth utility problem. I don't know, but something's.
I'll find out.
There are some problems that somebody's not paying attention, and we're $7 million into that job. County is.
I keep,
so we're big enough player that somebody ought to listen to us.
Yeah. Every time I go through there, I keep wondering why it's not open yet.
Right.
It's been the same way for quite a while.
Yeah.
I'll check into it.
About 16 years.
Could you get back with me and maybe the judge and Carolyn? And
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Any appointments?
I do. I have one. It's for CPS board. And this is Erica G. Robinson. And I think at your table you might have a resume. I'd like to move for approval of her
Second.
appointment.
Has she gone through the background check?
Yes. Yes.
She has. She's replacing someone on the board.
She's replacing Stephen Braun.
Yes.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. We have before you the claims, including the addendum.
Move approval of claims, including the addendum.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve the claims. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes to approve claims and addendum. Briefing items, Mr. Manius.
Thank you, Your Honor. Members of the court, we can go to item B. This concerns a presentation relating to the reinvestment zone number 1 in Sampson Park. Ms. McMillan is here to address the court at this time.
Judge, Commissioners, the City of Sampson Park is proposing the establishment of a 179-acre tax increment reinvestment zone along the commercial corridors of Jacksboro Highway and Azle Avenue. This TERS would provide funding for necessary infrastructure and site improvements that would remove blighted areas along these roadways and support the revitalization and redevelopment of these two commercial corridors. As proposed, the TERS would pay for approximately $6.6 million in project costs, including street and median improvements, lighting, sidewalks, and landscaping along the corridor, and other site infrastructure improvements that are expected to facilitate revitalization of the corridor and encourage private development of retail, commercial, and residential areas valued at over $15.5 million. The City of Sampson Park is proposing to participate at a full 100% in this tax reinvestment zone and is asking the county to participate at 80% and the hospital district to participate at 50% and the Tarrant County College at 50%. I'd like to ask Jack Thompson and Lance Reardon from Arasi Development, who are the consultants that are working on this project, to come forward and give more information. And also note that Crystal Harris, Mayor Pro Tem from Sampson Park, is also here today.
Good morning.
Good morning, Judge. Good morning. Commissioners. My name is Jack Thompson. I'm president of Arasi, and we're the economic development firm for the City of Sampson Park. Today we'll begin talking about what's going on in Sampson Park, and it begins with one word. It's been very busy in Sampson Park over the last couple of years. Our city council, city staff, and Economic Development Corporation have been very busy and working to turn Sampson Park around in redevelopment along its main commercial corridors of Jacksboro Highway and Azle Avenue. It really begins with a zoning overlay that we've done in the commercial corridor to ensure that we get the type of development that the council seeks and that our residents want. Furthermore, it goes into, we've made some improvements to Jacksboro Highway, predominantly through a grant from Chesapeake to landscape our medians, and that was subsequently followed up with a TxDOT Green Ribbon grant to further enhance some of the medians and aesthetic improvements along Jacksboro. We're also beginning to launch a Thunder Road campaign to brand our section of Jacksboro Highway. Years ago, the highway was called Thunder Road from approximately Trinity River all the way to Lake Worth, but we're kind of bringing that back for our section of Sampson Park. It's really begun an initiative to bring redevelopment along our commercial corridor and really kind of set Sampson Park apart. We've also been working with the North Central Texas Council of Government in their Livable Military Communities Initiative, which is making sure that the zoning and the development that's occurring in and around the base is compatible with the base. Further improvements in working with COG and TxDOT is hopefully with drainage problems that are occurring along Jacksboro Highway and other issues along with the highway for better traffic flow. Why do we need a TIF? And what's the purpose of this? As well, we've got a lot of issues. We're a small community with limited funds. We're putting the effort and energy into the Jacksboro Highway and Azle Avenue as much as we can, but there's so much more to do.
There's a little arrow button on that keyboard.
Okay.
I think.
There we go. Thank you. As you can see, that's our drainage easement along Jacksboro Highway. It becomes rather treacherous sometimes to enter into various businesses along Jacksboro Highway. It also makes drainage throughout our city very difficult. It's led to a lot of undeveloped or underdeveloped properties. We have a lot of businesses, too, that just there's really no clear-cut drive cuts into the businesses, so it can become kind of Wild West on getting in and out of our businesses and up and down Jacksboro Highway, causing some congestion. Our traffic counts are also way up as well over the last several years, and so we really need more structure between getting into our businesses and getting onto the highway. Also, we've experienced a lot of development in the 50s through the 70s, and that type of development was smaller, and a lot of it has fallen into disrepair, and so we want to begin to encourage investment along that corridor, but we need more structure. We need the aesthetic improvements to be made along that corridor. We need to get drainage fixed along that corridor before we can really start attracting a much more new industry and much more new retail and restaurants to the area. We've also, along with the roads, we've also got numerous businesses on Azle Avenue that were in really not the highest and best use development, salvage yards and the whatnot, and we really want to spend time cleaning those up, getting those back onto being more of on the tax rolls as something more viable than what we have currently right now. But all of that requires a lot of of capital. So what we are wanting and needing is additional funds to help us overcome our challenges. And really for our development, and what we really foresee happening as far as development is going, is we've got basically what we're tabbing as a restaurant row. It runs from Byway east, includes about five or six parcels of property. Anchoring them is El Paseo Restaurant on one end, on the easternmost end, and Iron Spur, a new restaurant concept we landed about 3 months ago on the other end. There's some property in between those 4 lots that are available that we hope to see develop into other locally owned or mom-and-pop type restaurants in that area. And another part of our development process is cleaning up Azle Avenue. There's several large chunks of property that are available. However, they have issues with them, such as brownfield cleanup. They used to be a salvage yard or some kind of rock quarry type use. And so we want to clean those up and get those back on the tax rolls and market those. Azle Avenue has seen significant improvements, especially on the Fort Worth side across from us. And we'd like to start tapping into some of the developments that have been occurring over there and pull some of that traffic into our side as well. Phase 3 is continuing of the Azle Avenue promotion and really getting out the word of what is available on Azle Avenue as well as Jacksboro Highway. Land development we foresee happening in a Phase 4 for Azle Avenue, and really subsequently about the same time for Jacksboro Highway too. But really we've been putting as much as we can into the infrastructure and laying the foundation to attract redevelopment into the Jacksboro and Azle Avenue corridor. As Lisa said, our TIF is 179 acres total. You can see it's everything in the red, which covers all of our commercial district along Jacksboro Highway and Azle Avenue. We also incorporate there to the right, and you can kind of see a tail come down off Azle Avenue. That's our last large chunk of undeveloped property in Sansom Park. It's approximately 42 acres. We look at that as kind of a mixed use with commercial up towards Azle Avenue and transitioning into residential as you get further into the city. And so that's where we really see a large chunk of our increment initially occurring is from development in that area, since that's a greenfield site and ready for development. From that point, I'll let Lance come in. Lance Reardon is our Vice President of Financial Services, and he'll talk a little bit about the financial terms of this TIF.
Thank you.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. So Lisa already touched on some of these, and if you have any questions or any other things, please let me know. But the initial TIF value of the district is about $25 million. We're looking at a 25-year life. The cities can contribute 100% of their projected income, and Tarrant County, obviously, we have projected at 80%. We've had initial discussions with the community college district at 50%. They seem willing to support that. We're still working on getting them to move forward in that effort. Total project cost, as Lisa mentioned, about $6.6 million. Almost half of that go to Jacksboro renovation. The initial costs go to site remediation and whatnot, cleaning up some of those salvage yards and junkyards off Azle. And then other developer incentives and site work would be needed for that large development Jack referenced. And right now we're projecting to issue debt around halfway through the TIF life, around year 10 or so, give or take. And that debt service is about $2.7 million. We're hoping to do that a little earlier than year 10, maybe year 6 to 8, depending on how development goes. And this just touches on, we have the large 42-acre development with the frontage, it's actually about 50 acres. You know, we foresee single-family housing kind of off the frontage and then kind of near the corridor, more commercial, likely some sort of multifamily senior housing type of development. There's several of those nearby, and we think it's a ripe site for that. And also, the EDC has purchased some property up on Jacksboro Highway, which right now is a Lucky Lizard gaming site, which we think is ripe for redevelopment as a retail site as Jacksboro renovation proceeds. That's about it.
Any questions?
Yeah.
No, I can say this, Jacksboro Highway has been needing this improvement for a long time. It's actually a state highway through there. So is Azle Avenue, Farm to Market Road. But state, when you go to them, has no money. So you can't get anything done with them. The drainage on Jacksboro Highway, I'm surprised people haven't been killed with the way the drainage is. It's horrible. It's time to get something done, and now the city of Sampson Park has moved their city hall, or in the process of moving their city hall. I believe in a week or two we're going to have a dedication.
Yes, sir, February 12th. We'll have
February 12th. And it's going to be on Azle Avenue, so they're trying to clean up and improve their, attract more people out to the Sampson Park area, and I think it's a project that's way overdue.
Commissioner Fickus?
Yeah, has the city implement any kind of masonry ordinance for that corridor?
Yes, it's part of our zoning ordinance. We do have a masonry standards. It's about 80% for the total building.
For the total building?
Yes.
Not just the front, okay.
Not just the front. Yes,
Okay. Are y'all doing any, you had mentioned, I think, that there are really no curb cuts. Are in that renovation on the highway there, are you looking to curb that and
Yes.
restrict the number of curb cuts with
What we're looking
common access easements and things like that?
Yes, sir. What we're looking at doing actually is adding, taking out it's basically an asphalt drainage ditches on both sides of
Right.
Jacksboro. We're looking at removing the asphalt and putting in landscaping, grass, and some shrubbery, whatnot. That way it'll help absorb some of the drainage and also channel it.
Yeah.
But also it'll set up formal drives too. And with the landscaping, it'll help kind of calm traffic, give it more of a, boulevard look, if you will.
Right.
And we'd finalize, we had concrete drive cuts there as opposed to asphalt there.
What has been TxDOT's discussions with regards to that as far as, because again, one of the things that we've been kind of looking at is that is the main arterial to bring folks in from north, and it's going to be a whole lot busier once they tear up 35 going north to try to fix that.
It is, and one of the nice things that has occurred working with COG with this Livable Military Communities program is a lot of what they envisioned was exactly what we had envisioned. And so we've been piggybacking with COG to work with TxDOT to find some additional funding to implement these plans. So we're trying to leverage some additional support from COG to help us secure some TxDOT funding. As a matter of fact, we've got a meeting tomorrow with TxDOT and COG to discuss these plans and find out if they'll be able to participate in this or how much they'll be able to participate.
Do you have another question, Commissioner Fix?
No, not really, but I'm glad to see this happening. I think this is the right thing, and you and I sit on RTC. This isn't a lot of money.
No, it's not. What is the right-of-way? What kind of width do you have for the road? Because I really, and I've mentioned this to Commissioner Johnson and have mentioned it in some conversations, foresee that we really need this to become a major arterial bringing traffic in. So is your build out 2 lanes either direction, or is it eventually 3, or what's the?
Right now, the plans just stand for 2 lanes going each way.
What's the total right-of-way through there, do you know?
No, I don't. We've got just off it's 2 lanes each way with a divided median. It's
probably
100, 90 feet, 120 feet, somewhere.
120,
150.
150.
You can do a lot in 150.
Yep. Well, I would just encourage you to look at that as, because I do really believe that if we can get, they built the access roads north of 820. If they ever put the main lanes in there, or if we find a way to put the main lanes in there, that is going to bring to bear a lot of traffic coming inside of the loop on down. And I think that could be good for all the parties. But again, as was mentioned, there needs to be limited access with maybe some common, abilities to move through there.
We really do. It's very noticeable now, rush hours in the morning and in the evening, just going up and down Jacksboro, how much the traffic stacks now. And that whole area's got.
One of the things, we're doing a similar deal on Highway 26 in Colleyville. They want to widen this road to 3 lanes each way and with intersections. We come back and we decide you really don't need 3 lanes each way, but you do at the intersections. You need a left turn lane and a right turn lane, so you can get by with 2 lanes each way through most of it. And when you get to the intersections, that 400, 300 feet, then spend your money, and you can save literally millions of dollars. And they're working with Michael Morris and to come up with a plan to do exactly what you're talking about.
And we're also looking at ways to help disperse traffic off of Jacksboro to maybe, we have a street called Byway that runs all the way from Azel Avenue to Roberts Cutoff. And perhaps that can be widened. Skyline Drive is another street that's very similar that runs all the way from Azel Avenue to Roberts Cutoff. And if we can open those streets up a little more and widen them, make them a little more attractive for people to maybe cut up to Azel Avenue, that might help disperse some of that traffic off of Jacksboro. So we are looking at some other mechanisms to help alleviate that traffic congestion.
And long-range plans are the freeway all the way from Azel to downtown Fort Worth, in fact, to 30. So there's a lot of plans. There's been a lot of plans and a lot of money spent on plans, engineering, and so on and so forth, and no action. That's sort of where we're at, and that leaves these cities sitting high and dry.
Again, I think one of the things that we've kind of begun looking at is how do we, as a county and as cities within this county, fund transportation and infrastructure, given the fact that TxDOT and the feds neither have set this as a high priority for them.
And I'm not real sure. I'm sure y'all probably looked at the plans, but 199 coming from Azel, assuming they get back on that project someday, I don't think it's going to hit Sampson Park where it does now. I think it's going to move farther to the west, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm not sure, does it come in there around where that old restaurant used to be?
Oh, old Vivian Courtney's?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't think it gets that far east.
But it's west, you mean?
I mean west, yes.
But they're going to make some changes. It's not going to go directly straight up and down like it is now.
Okay. Well, I think it's something that, I think this is something I think we're very interested in, and anything we can do to help, or as we begin to look at that whole corridor inside the loop to get us from the loop into the downtown area is something I think we need to remain focused on and maybe really kind of turn up the heat and see if we can. I'm glad to hear you're meeting with TxDOT and with Michael tomorrow on this, because I think that's, certainly should be a priority of everybody's. And it's where I think we've got the best chance to make our next move to do things. That either anything on the west side, basically, whether it's coming in from the south or coming down from the northwest. And I think it's much easier to come down from the northwest right now than it is. We already got so much going on kind of the southwest with Chisholm Trail and some of that, but certainly coming out of the northwest corner, something's going to be necessary. We're going to need some relievers as we begin the work on 35 out of downtown up to 820. Any other questions or comments at this time?
Keep the ball rolling.
Thank you, sir.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
We will work with the consultants to bring back a participation agreement in the coming months, and probably have Commissioner Johnson maybe next week go ahead and appoint a board member from the county so that the board can meet and approve the project and financing plan in the future too. Again, as Commissioner Fick has noted, it is a small amount of money. Over the 25-year period, the estimate for the county is only $970,000 in contribution, and for the hospital district, $520,000. But it will make a big impact along that corridor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Members of the court, we could go to item C. This is an update on the Workers' Comp 504 medical program and the proposed website. Ms. Worthy.
Me again. Hello.
Hello.
As you remember, back in July, the court awarded a contract to JI Specialty Services for our third-party administrative services as well as other parts of our workers' comp program. And one piece of that was the implementation of a 504 program. And what a 504 program allows public entities to do is to develop a panel of medical providers that provide services to our employees that become injured or ill during work. And so we are in the process of putting that plan together. We've been coming to you the last few weeks with approvals for our physicians that are going to be in that provider panel. And with that part of the project, we have developed a mock or a draft website for your review. This website will be available to employees and providers and, of course, supervisors. It'll include information for the employees about which providers they can go see and the rules of the 504. The major change in going to a 504 from the current program is employees must see a physician out of this provider panel, and they must seek a primary treating physician initially before they can be referred to a specialist. And so we will set this, our plan is to set this website up to be available to employees through the website, so all employees will have the ability to do that. It will also be available via a web browser for the providers, the medical providers, to have access to it. It'll have information about phone numbers, who to contact. Our sample here, the first page of the sample there is what the website will look like, and the second page is what those drop downs will look like when an individual would click on each of those areas. So if an employee clicked on the employee area, they would be able to pull up the general information sheet, some FAQs, the list of the providers. If an employee wants to nominate a provider, for example, they know their physician takes workers' comp claims and they want their physician to be in our provider panel, they can nominate a physician for that, and then a list of our providing pharmacies. And so this is just for your review, and be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Robin, let me add a little bit, or let me ask you a question. This is not a website that'll be hosted on the county system. Is that correct?
That is correct. JI is developing this website for us. It'll be somewhat similar, I forgot to say. Just like when employees in the medical plan were to click on the PEBC website, it takes them to an off-site, or the PEBC link from our website, it takes them to an off-site website. And so, of course, there'll be a disclaimer that says you're now leaving the Tarrant County website and going to another website. We will continue to own the information. Our agreement with JI is that this information is ours. Should we ever sever our relationship with JI, we own that website and the information in that website.
Who maintains the website?
The website will be maintained by JI. They will have the ability to make changes to it. They have an outside organization that they use right now that's helping them develop it and put it together. But once it's developed and put together, then should we need to add or delete a provider, add or delete a phone number, JI will have the ability to make any changes to the website.
How are you planning to promote the website to Tarrant County employees?
Right. Upon the rollout of this new program, which right now our target date is the middle of February, we will be sending out a letter or an email, a blast email to all of our department heads and then our workers' comp liaisons. We'll announce the program. It'll have our new phone numbers, links to the website, information about the website. In addition to that, we plan to do 3 to 4 training sessions for the workers' comp liaisons in our departments so that those individuals that within the departments handle the workers' comp, usually it's an administrative person, sometimes it's a direct supervisor, those individuals can be trained on how the new program works. And then finally, we'll be sending out an email to all employees announcing the program, and we'll ask that all employees respond to that email by simply hitting reply, and the reply of that email will acknowledge that they received that information and it's their responsibility to be familiar with those new rules.
Would you consider include a description regarding the purpose of the website? Because Riverview Provider Group sounds wonderful, but it doesn't really mean anything.
Right. We did choose a unique name for the provider group. And yes, we can certainly, in our communications to the department heads. We have outlined in those communications that the provider panel will be called Riverview Provider Group, and so I think we've included that, but I'll review that again. And
Yeah,
be
on the
sure that
website, on the
Oh, on the
homepage.
website, okay.
Yeah, if you would put
Okay.
like a description, like a Tanton County
There wi-
worker comp program or something like
There
that.
will be in that box there, just below the drop-downs on that front page, it says that we're going to include a brief explanation, so we absolutely will include that information to identify it as a Tarrant County.
I believe what
Website.
the commissioner's also saying, not only on this website, but on the drop-down button that we have on our website to access this website, we need some type of a descriptor. You're on that.
Yes, and we've already we've actually been working with IT. Our intent is, when you go to the Tarrant County website, on the far right-hand side, you can click onto the employee area. You go into the employee area, and then there's on that side, they will click on a workers' comp link in a similar fashion that you would click on benefits or wellness. You will go to that workers' comp, and it will have a description, and then the link that would take you to the Riverview Provider Group. So I think we've addressed that, but we'll look at it and be sure that it's very clear.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Robin.
Thank you.
Members of the Court, we can go to item D. This is an update on the seasonal flu. Dr. Curian is here to address the Court at this time.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
We are halfway through the flu season, and it's shaping up to be worse than an average season. Flu activity in Tarrant County currently is at the widespread level. We've been at this widespread level for 9 weeks in a row now. The other marker that we track is the flu-related doctor's visits. That's slightly gone up from 11 to 11.7% this week. And it is still above the county baseline of 3.8%. This marker has consistently been above the baseline for 8 weeks in a row now, and this is the longest, to the best of my recollection, that this marker has been above the county baseline since the implementation of the Tarrant County Influenza Program in 2005. As far as the circulating strains go, H3N2 continues to have a strong showing here in our local community, statewide, as well as at the national level. The current hospitalization rates nationwide for those who are 65 years and older is 82 per 100,000. This is quite a high rate and a sharp increase from the rate that was reported last week. By comparison, the hospitalization rates for 65 years and older this time last season was 2.2 per 100,000. Historically, we've
2.2 per 100,000 versus the 88 per 100,000 that you're saying this year.
These are people that
80
have
per
already had the
100,000.
influenza shot,
Excuse me?
that's already had the shots that are having flu.
I don't have that information yet. We haven't looked at the data at that granular level, but overall, 65 years and older have a hospitalization rate of 80 per 100,000. This is nationwide.
Really?
But historically, last year, mind you, the season was pretty mild. But historically, we've seen that seasonal flu tend to take its heaviest toll on this group, which is 65 years and older, particularly in seasons when H3N2 is the dominant strain. The other segment of population that's adversely affected by seasonal influenza are our children. Nationwide, there are reports of 29 flu-associated pediatric deaths, which is 9 more than what was reported last week. Statewide, we have 6 flu-associated pediatric deaths, which is 1 more than what was reported last week. In a typical flu season, on an average, here in Tarrant County, we tend to see 1 to 2 flu-associated pediatric deaths. Thus far this season, we have reports of 1 death, but I'm sure everybody in here agrees that even a single death in a child is 1 too many. Vaccination is still the best prevention tool available for us to prevent such tragedies. There is still time to get vaccinated if you haven't done so, although it may be you may have to look harder for flu vaccines than it was earlier in the season. We have anecdotal reports that several locales still continue to experience intermittent temporary shortages, but these shortage of flu vaccines and these shortages are just that they're temporary. because of the rapid influx of people who are looking to get vaccinated, especially during the middle and the later parts of December. Nationwide, we have plenty of vaccines available at the manufacturer level. Okay? And that is why these shortages are intermittent and temporary. FDA this season has approved flu vaccines from 7 manufacturers. And collectively, these 7 manufacturers have produced 145 million doses of flu vaccine for our nation. And up until this point, 129 million of those doses have been distributed. And that is why we still have enough vaccines available. Our public health centers, fortunately, have flu vaccines available. In addition to the 200 vaccines that we received last week, we have received an additional 1,000 doses of flu vaccines that's licensed to be used for everyone 6 months and older.
So again, we had 200 last week. We received an additional 1,000. They are available at our public health clinics.
Yes.
The hours on those public health clinics?
8 to 5? 8 to 5.
And they can determine and they can find where those public health clinics are located by either going to the Tarrant County website
That's correct.
or to the Tarrant County Public Health website.
Exactly. And these public health centers, all 6 public health centers have been dispensing these vaccines since this morning.
And what's the cost of them?
$20.
$20 cost.
You
And they're available for really all ages, over 6 months?
Everybody 6 months and older.
6 months and older.
We also have flu vaccines available under the Vaccine for Children program. That is for children who are uninsured and children who are on Medicaid. If you want to know the locations of the public health center, feel free to call our flu hotline, the internal phone bank. The number to call is 817-248-6299, or as the judge said, feel free to visit our website. You can also go to flu.gov, use the flu locator application, enter your zip code, and a map of all the nearest locations where flu vaccines available comes up. I'm going to conclude by reiterating the public health message to give flu the boot this season, which is besides vaccination, continue with your everyday preventive measures like practicing good hand hygiene, covering your cough, staying home when sick, and most important, seeking prompt medical attention if you have sudden onset of flu-like symptoms, especially for those in the high-risk group. Because as we know, starting treatment with antiviral medications like Tamiflu or Relenza, within 48 hours of symptom onset can tremendously reduce the severity and the duration of flu. For our weekly updates of what's happening with regards to flu in our community, please visit our website, which is www.tarrantcounty.com/flu.
Okay, so kind of recap again. We have vaccines. You can get those vaccines for $20, or depending upon whether you qualify for the Vaccine for Children program, they may be able to get those for free. The telephone number is 817-248-6299. You can go to flu.gov, enter your zip code, and it'll tell you what locations. Those locations are open 8 to 5.
This is flu.gov is not just public health centers, but all
everywhere.
locations that are dispensing flu vaccines.
All right, and we still encourage people to get those vaccines. This vaccine that we talked to are available for children 6 months and older, all the way through adults.
That's correct.
Okay.
8,000 additional doses that we received.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Finally, members of the court, a week ago to item E. This is legislative issues and update. Mr. Mendez is here to address the court. I would suggest y'all take a good look at Mr. Mendez because you probably won't be seeing him for at least 130 days.
Good morning.
Good morning.
In your packet, you've got my brief report. In general, things are starting to settle down, and they're going to start getting to the routine business of the legislature here in the next couple of weeks. At the end of this past week, the Senate did release their committee assignments. You do not have that information in your packet. I'll be putting that in this week's report. We only have one chairman from the Tarrant County delegation in the Senate. Once again, Senator Nelson is the chair of the Health and Human Services Committee. But we are fairly well represented on all the other committees, with the exception of a critical committee to county interest, and that is the Intergovernmental Relations Committee, where most county issues go through. We have nobody on that particular committee. And it appears that it's not a very high priority committee in the Senate anyway. There's only 4 members on the committee. As you will note, there was an email sent out, I guess, earlier this morning from Don Lee regarding a subcommittee of the Finance Committee that we chaired by Senator Hagar. And that is going to be dealing with local government financial issues, I guess affecting state and local government taxes. And I think what this is going to be is the Senate version of the new committee that's in the House having to do with pensions. There is a new House committee that is going to be dealing with public pensions, and so I think this is the Senate version of that. There are no other members been named for that subcommittee. We don't know who's going to be referring those bills to that subcommittee at this point, whether it's coming from the chairman or the lieutenant governor. But I will report back as we know more information. A couple of bills that I will mention specifically, House Bill 335 by one of ours, Jonathan Stickland from District 92, is a bill that will allow us to publish notices on our website instead of using the print media. And there is also a bill from another one of ours, Representative Matt Krause from District 93, House Bill 359, which could be of some concern because it requires all law enforcement agencies to verify immigration status of people that are being detained prior to releasing them for their next follow-up, and it requires that verification within a certain period of time. We've already been talking with that office extensively, and he's been hearing from a lot of the law enforcement agencies around the state, so I think that bill will go under substantial rewriting. So our level of concern at this point is we're keeping our powder dry on this one. I think he may address our concerns before it becomes an issue. In this tomorrow, the Senate will draw for 2- and 4-year terms. That will be of some interest to us. And later this week, or perhaps early next week, it is anticipated that the House will release, the Speaker will release the committee assignments for the House. None of the committees are meeting as of yet, except for the Senate Finance Committee. But probably by the first week of February, we will have regular committee meetings and see a schedule of that, and I will be reporting as soon as we know any more. Tarrant County Days is scheduled right now for February the 6th and 7th. There will be a reception at the Doubletree Hotel on the 6th, and then there will be a full day of activities starting with a breakfast at the Austin Club on the 7th, and that's on a Thursday. Be happy to answer any questions.
Debbie, do we know about how much we spend annually on our notices?
Looking at that right now, need to look a little deeper to see if we were required to advertise the tax rate in 2012 or not. Assuming everybody codes it to the proper line item, which doesn't always happen. Looks like last year, 2012, was around $65,000.
Okay.
But I haven't, not sure if we had to advertise the tax rate or not. If it does, it'd probably add about 15 or 20,000. We did count.
Okay, so you'll kind of follow up on that and check. I know the City of Arlington is pushing that pretty hard, so.
You know, we advertise a lot of our required legal notices from the court, particularly probate court, and the commercial recorder, which is kind of known for its legal notices. We don't advertise so much HR postings, since there's so many avenues available on the web, and it's got where there's fewer and fewer bid purchasing requirements for posting and advertising bids. So those have diminished a lot over the years.
Okay. Any other questions of Mark? Thank you, Mark.
That's all we have at this time, Your Honor.
Then we will recess our open meeting and move to closed session to discuss items exempted under sections 551.071, 072, 074, 067. Having returned from our closed session and there being no business to conduct at this time, we stand adjourned.
We ready? Commissioner Johnson,